Hello, everyone. So I received some questions in the comments and in one of my videos about Brian Kohberger's attire in court, what he wears in court, and whether or not he is allowed to wear a suit in these hearings that are pre-trial. And the answer is basically it's up to the judge. So the judge decides if he gets to wear street clothes for pretrial hearings. Now, for trial, defendants are generally allowed to wear street clothes, and the reason is because of bias, because the jury pool or jury is already there in the trial, and they're going to see him every day. And if he's wearing an orange jumpsuit to trial every day, it kind of might give the jurors, whether consciously or unconsciously, the impression that he's already guilty. So in terms of trial, it's a yes. If their attorney applies to the court and says, I want him to wear street clothes, it's generally allowed. Now, pre-trial hearings, it's generally not allowed, but the judge gets to make the decision. And he makes that decision based on how widely known the case is and who's watching. Because, when this case was in Moscow, Idaho, that's a small town. And the jury pool could be watching. And so, not to mention that it's all over the world, this case, but specifically in Moscow and in Latau County. So the judge allowed him to wear street clothes to hearings for that very reason, because it's kind of like if you have the jury pool watching him, they might come, unconsciously or consciously believe he's guilty because he's wearing prison garb or jail garb. And so that's the reason that, the judge allowed him to wear street clothes. Now we're in a different county. It's Ada County, and it seems like the judge is going to revisit this issue. He did allow Brian Kohberger to wear street clothes for the September 26th hearing, and I just wanted to go over that order with you guys. So let me see if I can share this screen. Okay, so this is the order temporarily granting defendant's motion to wear street clothing. So the court temporarily granted it for the purposes of the hearing notice for September 26, 2024 only. And it says civilian clothing must be provided by the defense counsel to the Ada County Sheriff's Office in advance of the hearing. And there's a footnote. And down at the footnote, it says, the court may direct the Ada County Sheriff's Office to employ other security measures related to defendant's September 26, 2024 appearance. So I don't know what those security measures are and how it relates to to Brian Kohberger wearing street clothes. But in any event, the judge is concerned about the security measures. And the last sentence here, it says, at the hearing, meaning the September 26, 2024 hearing, a date will be set for subsequent closed, sealed hearing on defendant's motion as it pertains to his future appearances. It is so ordered. So the court was supposed to set a date and time for a subsequent hearing. And again, it's closed. I can understand that if the judge has issues with security, with the security of Brian Kohberger. I don't know what those issues would be, but apparently the judge has some concerns. So what I wanted to look at is if the judge ended up setting a hearing for his clothing as it pertains to future hearings. And I looked up at the case summary, and there is the temporary granting of defendant's motion to wear street clothing. And then there was a status conference. Okay. And then if you go look down, the only hearing set is this October 8th, 2024 hearing. And I believe that is in regards to the status of this representation of Brian Kohberger. So I didn't. Everything else was canceled, and I'm at the I guess in the last video I said that it seemed like the motions regarding the death penalty were going to stay on calendar, but I see that it's been canceled. So the motion to challenge the death penalty is canceled. It's vacated. There's no new date. So unfortunately, that's the case. And all the other motions, motion to suppress on February 6, 2025 is canceled, vacated. So there's no new dates. So that's another issue in the case. Is, I feel bad for the families, because it's delaying this further. Let's see. Now, so there wasn't a hearing. There hasn't been a hearing set on what he's going to wear to these pretrial hearings. So that's the status of that. Now, the order, it says the order regarding representation status and setting hearing. So that hearing, so this is in my last video, I talked about how this hearing was set up by way of an order, which I guess can be done. Now, I'm just going to read it. By this order, the court directs that the current defense counsel, Ann Taylor, Alyssa Massoff, and Jay Logston shall remain as counsel of record for defendant unless they are relieved by a subsequent order of this court. So that is saying that regardless of whether there's a contract in place or not, the court is directing that current defense counsel continue as counsel of record. And it's an order, but he's directing Ann Taylor, Eliza Massoth, and Jay Logston to remain as counsel for the defendant, unless they are relieved by a subsequent order of the court. So then the next paragraph says, an ex parte sealed closed hearing will be held on Tuesday, October 8, 2024 at 1 p.m. at the Ada County Courthouse. So again, this is sealed and closed. And this doesn't relate to evidence. So the gag order related to evidence, I could see, any kind of evidentiary hearings, if it's something that's covered under the gag order and the parties don't want it to be out there in the public, that it would be a closed hearing. But this doesn't necessarily, this doesn't revolve around evidence. This is regarding his representation. So I'm not sure why it would be a closed hearing, but perhaps there's a reason. I just don't know. It doesn't seem right, but I don't know what the thought process is behind it. Now, it says counsel may appear either in person or via WebEx. And then it says, at the hearing, the court will consider defendant's representation status and the obligation of the state public defender to pay for the costs of representation. So he's going to consider what the status is right now. So maybe there's a contract in place, and this is just to confirm that. Maybe there isn't. I don't know. And then he wants to consider the obligation of the state public defender to pay for the cost of representation. And when it says cost of representation, that means the cost of paying the attorneys and Taylor and team. So there's another judge, Judge Monson, who's in charge of the cost of the case. And those costs are like paying the experts, paying filing fees, paying things like that, the cost of the case. So Judge Monson is the one who decides the budget for this case based on the representations of counsel. Now, and the last sentence says, the state public defender, Eric Fredrickson, must appear at the hearing as well. So he's ordering the the state public defender to appear at the hearing. So I don't know what is going on, and it's going to be closed, so we won't know. I just think it's strange that it's a closed hearing. Okay, I'm going to stop that. Okay, so those are things that I wanted to cover, and hopefully it makes sense. And in terms of the attire that Bryan Kohberger wears, you know, it doesn't have to be a suit. It can be a hoodie. It could be anything. But you know, Ann Taylor is a good attorney, and she, you know, I mean, if you're gonna wear street clothes, you might as well wear business attire. And that's probably what he will wear, you know, during the trial. I just see this delay as a kind of a big downer. I thought the death penalty motions were going to go forward. And based on the case summary, it looks like they're not. So in any event, I just wanted to make this short video to inform everybody of the status. And I'm going to keep looking to see what happens after tomorrow's court hearing regarding the status of the representation of Bryan Kohberger, and see if there's an order. I mean, it might be a private order or a sealed order, which I still don't understand that. But anyway, we're both, I mean, I guess we all are trying to understand this. And so hopefully we'll find out more information tomorrow or in the coming days about Bryan Kohberger's legal representation. So anyway, thank you for watching. Talk to y'all later.